Hello. Welcome to Kill the Bottle Podcast. Eddie Zamora, aka the Yum Yum Foodie. As always, with me is Megan, looking confused.
Yeah, I feel like my headphones are cutting off my
You feel like your headphones are. That's okay, but we figured it out. Yes, today is a really special day. Megan and I are going to get right to it because you know how much we yap at each other at the start of the show. It is called Kill the Bottle Podcast, so it's early today, but you know what? We're really committed to our jobs. So we're drinking. We're trying we are really committed. We need to be committed. We are drinking a wine called Chateau La Mascaronne, and it is a Côte de Provence, so dry.
Chateau La Mascaronne?
Isn't that what it is? Or
No.
No?
La Mascaronne.
Oh, why am I saying La Mascaronne?
I don't know.
Because I'm a moron. That's why. Yeah, that's what it was. Sorry. Thank you. And that voice from the heavens that corrected me because, you know, we were running around this morning. It is our special guest. I want to welcome to Kill the Bottle Podcast. I'm going to go down a list for a second. I'm sure you've heard these before. Let's see. 4-time NBA champion, 6-time All-Star, class of 2023, not high school class. NBA Hall of Fame, high school class. NBA Hall of Fame, class of 2023. Welcome to Kill the Bottle Podcast, Mr. Tony Parker.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
And thank you for correcting me because I there's so many moving parts to getting this going this morning.
I would say it's not that easy to say. I will give you that.
I feel like I'm that person. So I speak fluent Spanish and a little bit of French. I feel like I'm that person that I'm like I see somebody who speaks French and I'm like, oh shit, I'm gonna use my French accent and I'm gonna practice my French. So I just got really excited to pronounce the wine properly and I fucked it up. So there's that.
I don't speak any language other than English.
The language of love and the language of
you
peace.
guys.
Yes.
You barely speak English.
Yes. This is true.
Tony, first of all, thank you so much for being here. And I'm taking my first sips of the it's a secondary label if I'm not mistaken.
This one, it's like an entry.
The entry level. Okay,
it's the entry level for people to just have fun and just easy to drink, and you don't even think about it. You know, it's just something that you have at your pool and you just drink. And so we wanted to come with a first entry rosé. And it's called Folie. So Folie is like craziness.
Yeah, good time.
To translate, having a good time. And so it's called Folie by Mascaronne. And then we have a Mascaronne.
Not by Maroon, right?
No.
And then you have we have another bottle here of the La Mascaronne, and that is the mid tier because there's still one above that as well, correct?
And then we have one above that we started. It's called La Réserve by La Mascaronne, La Grande Réserve, because my partner. He has a hotel called La Réserve. It's like a 5-star hotel, very premium in Europe. He has almost 10. And we wanted to do something that can be more premium, you know, for restaurants or if you wanted to go very high level. Everybody's doing it too right now, you know. Miraval, you know, is like one of the most famous ones. They have Muse, you know, that's the new one.
I haven't tasted it yet, but I've seen it,
Yeah, and so that's why I was excited to invest in that project because it used to be an American owner. His name was Tom Bove. And Tom Bove sold Miraval to Brad Pitt.
Yeah.
And so when I first heard about La Mascaronne, I was like very comfortable because I was like, okay, if he maintained and did a great job with Miraval, I'm sure that La Mascaronne is just a matter of time when people will know about it that it's a great product. And so that's why I decided to go in an adventure.
When I encourage people to go to their website and just see the property. I remember when I went to the website yesterday and I was like, this place is spectacular.
Yeah, the property is amazing. We're very lucky, you know. We have an unbelievable property. Everything is made in the property. You know, we don't buy other grapes. You know, everything is from the property, and the quality is very high. Everything is natural. Everything is handmade, and so it's a pretty cool process. For the folks listening at home, or maybe just more accustomed to like this, like a dry French rosé from Provence. What's the distinction on your end from creating what makes the mid tier, and then what gets it to the level of reserve? I think the choice of the grapes, obviously, you know, it's always the choice of the grapes. You know, you keep like the best ones, you know, for the premium one. I think my partner, he owns Cos d'Estournel too. It's one of the best wine in the world, one of the most expensive. You know, it's from Bordeaux. It's been there for like years, you know, and so Cos, the fact that we have all that knowledge and great people working in those vineyards. They were able to exchange with the people from La Mascaronne. You know, our director in La Mascaronne, her name is Natalie, and she does a great job. And I think the fact that she can share, you know, with people from COS, it can only benefit the people in the rosé world. When you see the movement, when you see LVMH investing massively in 2 properties, it can just elevate everything in Provence. And so I think Natalie, I was there, when it was with the director of COS, like when you see them going back and forth, it's a pretty cool atmosphere.
Yeah, how does that happen for like the novice person? So obviously, you're somebody in the public eye. You're an investor in a basketball team in France, or I mean, is it majority owner. Yeah. And how does some rosé? Do you just put it out there? You say, hey, I'm interested in checking out wine.
For me, it's very different. I'm French, so obviously I grew up with it. It's in my culture, So it's very different from other celebrities, who wants to invest in those areas. Like me, I grew up with it. I always knew that's something I wanted to do. And when I arrived with the Spurs, I was very lucky to play with a coach who loves wine. My coach, Greg Popovich, loves wine. One has the biggest collection, and so after every game, we'll always go to restaurants, and that's how we bond. When you're 19 years old and you come to a different country, it's not that easy. And so it was nice to have a coach who loved wine. And so for me, when I was able to have the money to able to buy those kind of bottles, my palate got better and better. And so what I used to do is organize a dinner in my house. I would invite the best castles, in France, and I'll do a dinner once a month. I will invite them, have dinner at my house. They'll bring unbelievable bottles, and then the next day I will invite them to a Spurs game. And so that's how I developed great relationships.
Well, that's great. You didn't have to pay for their wine.
Exactly.
Yeah. Smart man.
But then I will go in the summer. I will go see them. And go see them at the vineyards, and I will work on my allocation to make sure they keep the good bottles.
That's one thing. I don't know if it was part of the culture in the NBA when you were still playing. So you retired in 2019.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm a fan of like Jimmy Butler, and I love seeing Jimmy Butler traveling with some first growth French Bordeaux. And
Jimmy is a huge fan of COS too. He bought a lot of big bottles from COS. I know he's a big fan of COS. For me, it's nice. I arrived in NBA in 2001. It was the beginning of, it was hard to eat very well in the US.
I was gonna ask
you. The cheese, it was still pasteurized, like fake cheese. Like everything was like very different back then. But then over the years, all the chefs, especially the French chefs, they had an American dream, and they all came in the US, and they shared the knowledge. And so now, man, you can eat very, very well in the US. You can see Napa Valley growing into a beautiful spot.
We needed the French to come over.
But not just French, but the chefs, the chefs, to around the world to work with great products and stuff like that. And so me, I saw the difference, from my first year in NBA and my last year. And I think wine comes with that. I think when I first arrived in NBA, all the players, it was more like hard alcohol, it was more like Hennessy, cognac, vodka, all that kind of stuff. And now you can see a lot of NBA guys have their own wine and be very proud to share it on social media and like to show what vintages they drink and all that kind of stuff.
It is kind of fun to see that when you're when you're now with the power of social media, there's this like connection that people will have where they feel like they know you more than they ever did before because
that's for sure.
You're on the court for X amount of time and you're gone. And then now there's so many opportunities to connect. There's opportunities to showcase things that you're into that have nothing to do, with your original career per se. That's part of our show is we like to talk to people about their career, but then also just what are you into that's different? What makes you, so to speak. And you mentioned, coming to the United States when you're 19. I think a lot of when my parents came from Cuba when they were 18 years old to the United States, and it was impossible for them to find products. So did you find yourself
no plantains
in Miami? There were no plantains. They had to bring them over from like Jamaica. Everything was coming over from the Dominican Republic. That was it. Now try to go to Miami and not find plantains.
You're good now.
Yeah, that would be my trick. Like if I played against you, I would just bring you a tray of plantains and just get you really full on Cuban black beans, plantains. So make you gassy, fill you up. Oh, it's incredible. It is like one of the. What was the hardest thing for you to find, or what you missed the most? Cheese.
For sure, because when you drink wine, you like to mix it, with some cheese, and you're always trying to pair, with different meals. But my favorite time when I drink wine is to have cheese. And so yesterday we went to a spot called Wally's, you know. And,
Oh yeah.
And so it's very well known, and they carry our wine, and so they have a bunch of wine. They have a lot of stuff. But the thing that I was surprised when I got into the store is I saw a big stand of cheese, like cheese from everywhere, just like France, you know, like you had everything. And I remember back then, there was no way you can find cheese like that. And they were like the original stuff yesterday. It was really good.
Well, in Northern California, there's a county called Marin County, and there's companies that are French owned or French descendants, and they make French style cheese here.
Yeah, I think it's just the education of the Americans. I think now they're willing to pay that money
Correct.
to eat good cheese, because I can only imagine how expensive it is to export everything. And but now, because they're educated and they see the difference, you know, they're willing to pay that kind of money.
Yeah, I mean, and they're also willing to acknowledge that there's premium expressions of wine. The same thing with spirits.
Exactly.
You'll like, there's a big trend now in the cocktail world where people are drinking traditional old style cocktails, but they're putting more premium spirits in it. And it's kind of, at least for me, nice to see that trend, because people's palates change. Like, you know, it's the best in the worst case scenario, because now you can't drink anything that's not at least well crafted. It doesn't have to be super expensive, but if it's not good, you know, so no, sorry, Yellowtail, but I can't drink you anymore. I'll have I'll have the most miserable hangover the next day. And while I'm drinking this, I'm thinking Saint Martin. I'm thinking on the beach. I'm thinking chair, pool, beach side with the rosé. I mean, is that your thing? Like, what did? So I think my grandfather was from Nice, and he would tell me that when he was a kid, he would drink half water, half wine. And that's what they would feed him when he was a little kid. And this is early 1900s.
That's a lot of big half. Huh?
I know. Is that how you started getting into wine when you were a kid? Or was it?
Yeah, it was like as a kid, but it was just like the little pinky, put the pinky.
That explains my grandfather's liver problems.
Oh, yeah.
50-50. That's a lot.
He's Cuban. He was exaggerating too. So let's be fair. He was They left France during the war and moved to Cuba. Mm-hmm. So yeah, my grandfather was an interesting cat in that sense. So was finding French restaurants something for, since you started 2001, obviously NBA season starts in October, so it's after September 11th is when you're starting, which has got to be crazy to begin with.
Yeah, for sure, it was crazy, because I remember my basketball team in Paris, they didn't want to let me go, so we went into a legal battle. And so when 9/11 happened, I was in London. We were at court, and they were going back and forth, the Spurs in Paris. And I remember that we saw the world go crazy, as the thing was happening, and we saw live, the second plane hitting the building, and so it was crazy. So I took the last flight, to go back to Paris that day. Wow. And then everything was shut down, for like a couple of weeks. And so when I arrived to San Antonio, we had a preseason game in New York. So it was very weird to be in the city after what happened.
Yeah.
It was kind of different.
So
I have a question before we keep going.
Yeah.
We were joking that your French is not good and all that kind of stuff, but we were joking that your English was not good. And do you ask any questions, or you really literally don't speak English? She really doesn't speak English.
No, I speak.
I'm joking.
Wow, I'm gonna go. This was fun though.
She's only turning a little bit red. I'm glad we have it on camera.
She's focused on the rosé.
That's
her face is rosé. The wine is rosé.
Matching. Focusing on getting the right angles, all that stuff. I have some questions, but it's not about wine.
I'm just messing with you. I used to have my own podcast. I did it for 3 years with Spotify. And I invited all the celebrities, in France, and so we would talk about everything. Mm-hmm. So that's why it was funny. I was looking at you. She's like, she's gonna ask a question. Oh, maybe not. Maybe she's just drinking.
I think she's captivated by you.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
You are the best looking person in this room. So I'm just like, let's be real.
I'm always interested in people's adversity because I remember watching your Hall of Fame speech, and and that was your moment. Because you were too skinny, you were too this, you were too that. What of that in that world did you bring into investing in wine? Like, what's been the biggest challenge?
I think for me is more like dreaming big. That's what I talked about on my.
I know. I was gonna talk about that later. I can't wait. Yeah, I was moved.
It was hard to put in one speech, everything that you feel, because growing up it was not that easy, and especially coming from France, from a small city. When I tell people like, oh, I want to go to the NBA, I want to become the first European point guard to make an NBA, they thought I was like crazy. And so for me, I always say, let's dream big, you know, and I say it to all the kids, all my academy, the kids in my academy, I always say, you know, when you say your dream to somebody and he doesn't laugh at you, you don't dream big enough. And so me, when I was telling my dream, they were laughing at me, and now I'm the one who's like laughing, you know, but it came with a lot of hard work, and what I use in the work ethic that I had for my sports career, I do the same thing in the business. You know, there's no secret. You know, if you want to make it, you know, you have to work. You need to have a discipline, and you have to be on time, and like small stuff that makes the difference for me between like, you know, the good players and the great players, or the people who's going to make it and not going to make it. So I always try to look at who made it, you know, in life and business, and it's a reason, you know, why they made it, and so I try to get inspired by that. But I already have a good base, you know, because to be in the sports world, you need a work ethic and a discipline and working hard and all that kind of stuff.
If not basketball, though, if that did not work out, which it wouldn't work out for me, I'm 5'2", what would it have been? Was there something else you would have wanted to do or could have done?
In sports, I would have go to soccer if I stayed in sports. If it was not sports,
get out of the sports.
I always loved the architect, you know, architect, because I like building stuff. I like creating stuff. And that's what we're doing now, you know, with our group, you know, it's called Infinity 9 Group. It's based on my passion, you know, so I love sports, I love education, I love art de vivre, so like wine, champagne, all that kind of stuff, and everything that has to do with tech. And so we focus on those 4 things, and that's how we manage, you know, our day, you know. I think for me now is more like you have a vision and you bring people together. I come from team sports, so I believe and everybody has to, you know, do their role, and everybody has a big role. Doesn't matter if you're here or at the bottom, you know, everybody has to do their role and to achieve, you know, whatever goals that we had to that particular year. And so for me, I feel very blessed, you know, working with people that I care and that I love, and we try to have fun while we do it. And now with my investments, I try to focus a lot on having an impact, you know, in our society. That's like our main focus right now, to try to have an effect, you know, on how we're going to live. I think it comes to that I'm a dad now, you know, of 2 kids, you know, and so you want to make sure, you know, they're going to be in a great world.
Are they into sports?
Yeah, they play a little bit of sports, yeah, but they're young right now. They're 10 and 8, you know, so they still have some time. But yeah, they love sports. They don't play basketball though.
No.
No, they do judo. Judo is the sport.
Really?
Yeah, my dad was super into judo.
Yeah.
Remember,
you know,
like,
it's good on judo. It's
I've
a
heard,
great work ethic, great discipline. It's great to raise your kids. They have great stuff, you know, great values.
I was a swimmer.
Oh, my dad used
swimming is good too.
kick my
It's so
ass with judo.
lonely.
Yeah, because you by yourself, you go back and forth.
Isolation.
Yeah,
Judo.
true.
See, I'm too hairy to be a swimmer, and I don't want to shave my legs.
Thank you for
So I
sharing.
think that's really the what?
We all wanted to hear that.
Listen, it's my Spanish European blood, I guess. I don't know what that is.
I love that you said architecture earlier, because I feel like any other place overseas, because of the history, I go so far back that the architecture there is, of course, going to be more inspirational. But when you come here, is there you've been all over?
Yeah, you can't compare.
Is there a city though that you like better as far as visually here?
In
that
the US?
Yeah, that you've been like, okay, this is okay. I like this.
I think New York will always be
Always.
Stand out because of all the high buildings and all that kind of stuff. But it's hard. You can't compare Europe.
You can't.
Thousands and thousands of years of history, and the US that's pretty new. So you can't compare. But if I had to choose one city, you know, New York.
I think
New York is different.
New Orleans, for some reason, they're old
like
school
New York,
French.
yeah, New Orleans. But New Orleans, we have that in France. So, but for the US, yeah, New Orleans has their own little vibe, yeah, for sure.
Like that.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing. Speaking of New York, is that the hardest place to play Madison Square Garden? Because I hear people say that the energy is no.
No, I love the energy. The
energy helps.
And I think because of the history of basketball, everybody loves playing in New York. It's like the mecca. But no, for me, the hardest place to play at the beginning, it was Sacramento, Utah. They were super, super loud. Sacramento was a huge rivalry.
Mormons are that loud in Utah?
Super loud.
That's amazing because
super loud.
What? I did a TV show
Not
in
all
Utah.
Mormons.
Dallas was a huge rivalry because of the Texas rivalry, and I always loved playing against the Lakers too because it was Kobe, Shaq, and it was either us or them who was winning championships. So it was pretty cool.
And I got to give you credit in the sense where I can't tell you how many times, and don't take this the wrong way, I have yelled at you on television.
I believe you.
Because you killed my team.
I know.
Well, I'm a Miami Heat fan.
Yeah.
You killed me, and it would drive me insane. And it's so beautiful for me to be in a room with somebody who, it's a different persona, obviously, and you're passionate. You get into a game, but I always respected so much what the Spurs did.
At least with Miami Heat fans, we can agree that we went 1-1. So
it's incredible.
You won one, we won one. So.
And I'm always I talk about adversity, and it's crazy because you've been part of some of the most amazing moments in sports history, but you've been on both ends of it. You've been on the winning end, and then you've been on the I remember turning off the TV with 17 seconds left in Game 6. And then I said, you know what? No, I'm going to turn it back on for a second. And when I turned it back on, is the ball's in the air and it goes in. And this, I'm talking for guys who don't know, it was a very famous shot in the NBA Finals, and could have gone either way. How does that what are you thinking in that moment when you're in the last few seconds? You're looking around and the security has already brought out
the rope
and everything. Like the Spurs are going to win. But obviously in sports you never know. What goes through your mind as far as preparing for that as the ball's coming down the court? If you remember, because I can't imagine the amount of adrenaline.
You can't prepare yourself.
You can't.
That was my worst loss ever.
You won the NBA championship next year,
because we were up 3-2 and we up 5 with 28 seconds to go, and you think you're going to win the championships. They bring in the trophy, bring in the ropes, and then it goes so fast, and then Ray Allen made an unbelievable 3 backwards and everything. So you can't prepare for that kind of stuff, but what you can do though is to come back even stronger the next year. And I think it was a great opportunity for us to show our character and saying okay, we won 3 championships in our 20s. Now we're on our 30s, and we don't want people to only remember us with that loss in 2013. So I think what happened in 13 created that monster in 2014.
Absolutely.
Where we played maybe the best basketball in Spurs history. The way we played in the finals and the way that we dominated Miami.
It was incredible to watch.
It was because of 13.
Of course.
So everything happens for a reason, and it was nice to be able to play them again.
Yeah, of course.
And to redeem ourselves.
Yeah, it was funny because once the matchup got made, I was like, no, there's no way the Miami Heat are winning 2 against the Spurs. It's it's not happening. When you go into, what's your mindset when you go into it? Because I can't even, the most famous words in sports or the best words are Game 7, right? Mm-hmm. They always say that. When you go into any Game 7, it doesn't have to be the one in 13 or you're in the playoffs. What happens to you? Do you have any ritual? Anything you do? Anything you eat?
No.
Anything that's like, I have to do this before? Are you superstitious at all?
No, I'm not superstitious at all. And like you said, I did Game 7s both ways. We won and we lost. So, no, for me, I think the thing I was just telling myself is let's enjoy yourself. Let's enjoy yourself. It's Game 7. It's like a Super Bowl. It's just one game. And in 05 when we won, it was amazing. And then when we lost in 13, it was tough. That's sports. Sports, it can create unbelievable feeling. Happiness, adrenaline. It's amazing. Only sports can create that. Because even in business, we've been very successful in my group, but it will never recreate like what I felt. In sports, it's just a unique feeling, and that's why I think so many people love sports, and in the US it's so popular.
It translates to that to anything really. Your biggest adversity is the opportunity to just elevate either the next chance or create another chance or whatever that means. Mm-hmm. When you look at Coach Popovich, who's like the greatest coach in my opinion in NBA history. I'm sorry, I know because he's all I know.
Agree.
All I know as far as great coaches are him, Pat Riley. Those are the people that are in my time that I ever got to see coach. Is there something besides his love for wine that you take into the way you manage your business or manage your team that works with you?
Yeah, I will say the way that at the same time he can be very, very tough and intense with you, and then be very kind. And he has a great way to find a happy middle between being demanding and you want to be tough and we have something to accomplish, but at the same time we're human beings and stuff can happen in life. And don't forget that basketball is important, but we got more important stuff in life with like your family or your kids, and that will last way longer than just our basketball career.
Yeah. That's when I was a kid, I didn't know anything about basketball, and I did not understand the importance of a coach. I was like, it's just 5-on-5. Like, I didn't know plays, and then as you grow up and you start to watch, you understand the beauty of piecing together a machine, and you're not only piecing together, you're limited by budget. It's not like baseball where you can just, spend as much money on whoever you want. This is really creating this like masterful palette. Do you have a favorite French restaurant in the United States? Sorry, not to hate on any other ones that you go to, but
no, not really. I love food and I love to eat, and I like any kind of food.
Plantains.
So, plantains. I love Cuban food. I love Spanish food, Italian food, Chinese food. I really love food, and so because I like to drink wine, it's always nice to pair with different meals and stuff like that.
Do you have regular spots though, like you love to go to, or you?
Giorgio Baldi, the Italian restaurant in Santa Monica, will be maybe the restaurant that I go the most in LA.
Wow, that's specific. I
know.
Been there. What's wrong with us?
I know, what is wrong? So we eat and drink for a living.
That's all we do.
Notes taken, Tony Parker. Thank you.
Been there for 40 years. You should check it out.
Absolutely.
I'm going tonight.
Is your wine there?
No, because it's only Italian.
Only Italian. Okay. By the way, I'm super excited. So he mentioned different wines as well. Tonight we're gonna get to taste through that lineup, and I can't tell you how excited I am to have. Was there a wine that you had, when you started to develop, when you started to be able to afford it, or you started to be able to have people come to your dinner at your house or with Pop? Was there a wine that you had that you said, I want to make a wine that doesn't have to be exactly like that, but something that will evoke an emotion like this wine did for me?
Same thing as restaurants. I don't have a favorite wine because...
Well, there's just the first wine you had that you're like, ooh, this is amazing. I get it now.
Yeah, wine from Bordeaux. Like if I had to go to an island and I can only take one bottle, that'll be something from Bordeaux.
That's a better question. We should have asked that.
Right bank, left bank, Cabernet base, Merlot base. No,
any Bordeaux is fine.
Smart man. You can't go wrong with any of the good shit.
Is there something you like to cook then? I'm looking for favorites out of you. Like, is there something you personally can cook? Your kids love you to cook, or
spaghetti bolognese?
Oh yeah, I love that.
Specialty. But I don't really cook that much, because I had my own chef when I was playing. And my chef will always do the meals. It was very important, to stay healthy and make sure you put the right stuff in your body.
Specific.
Spaghetti bolognese, that's what I do.
Your kids ask for that?
Yeah.
Yes.
They're like, we just want to make Dad work.
Yeah.
Dad, can you please, can you throw down some spaghetti? So you mentioned a deserted island, and it's super remote. Has there ever been, I love asking these stories, has there ever been like the weirdest place you've been recognized? Where you're like, there's no way somebody's gonna know who I am here. And then you get there and you're like, Jesus Christ, dude, why are you wearing
all the cities in China? Like not Shanghai and Beijing, obviously, the big cities, but I've been to a lot of cities in China because I was the ambassador of Peak, and it's a big company in China, and I will go to places like I have nowhere where I'm at, and unbelievable, like the way they love basketball in China is amazing.
Was there anybody that when you would get up in the morning and you were playing that night, you're like, oh shit, I have to guard this guy tonight? Was that one person that would maybe drive you more?
Not me guarding. It was more like, man, we're playing the Lakers tonight, and then we have Kobe and Shaq, and it's tough. That's tough.
Yeah. And I'm not a Laker fan, so I remember watching those games. I've never rooted for the Celtics unless they played the Lakers that one time in the finals, and I'm not a Celtics fan, as you can imagine. And I was like, please, I want to see if this team can be beaten.
Yeah.
It was fun to, it's fun to watch.
That's how I felt about the Lakers. Like, I was like, it's a hell of a challenge. They had two guys who basically you can't stop them, and so it was just great playing in those days.
Do you still watch basketball?
Yeah, of course.
Is it hard for you to watch? Because I can't imagine. No.
Okay. I love it, and I own a basketball team.
Fair. Yeah.
And in the EuroLeague, we give a lot of our players to the NBA, and so even the Spurs, Victor Wemby.
Mhm.
Wemby played in my French team. We won a championship together in France. And so, no, Asvel women, because I have the women's team too. I'm on the women's team. No, I love watching basketball.
Is that the so? To me, Wemby is the kind of person where, he is worth the ticket. Like, you pay the ticket to see this person play. I remember now that I'm thinking about it, Coach was famous for like sitting people and be like, "Yo, you got to rest." And you're that kid that you bought a ticket to see Tony Parker, and you're like, I'm sitting behind you on the bench, I'm just like waving at you. Who besides Wemby is that ticket that you're like, you get a ticket and you watch this person play?
In my era, it was Kobe Bryant and Dwayne Wade, be the two players.
Favorite player in the world.
That will pay to go watch.
Yeah. And I'm aligned with your brother because Dwayne Wade is my favorite player. So his brother's favorite player, which you mentioned that in your speech.
Yeah.
When you were growing up, did you have a favorite player?
Yeah, Michael Jordan.
Not a bad favorite player to have.
Jordan was my idol. My family's from Chicago. My dad is born and raised from Chicago, so we were huge Bulls fans, and I was a huge Michael Jordan fan.
So you're in San Antonio for many years, and like everything is bigger in Texas. Did you ever go to a French restaurant in Texas and be like, why is the coq au vin like the entire Le Creuset pot that they're throwing out there?
The other French restaurants I've been in San Antonio, they did a great job, respecting the French tradition and stuff like that. So no, it's really good.
When you're not drinking wine, what's your go-to?
If I'm not drinking wine,
if you're not drinking wine, do you drink spirits at all?
Yeah, I do. I'll go Saint Germain spritz.
You can't go wrong with Saint Germain.
Saint Germain.
You stayed French.
It's my favorite. My favorite spritz. Favorite cocktail. Saint Germain spritz.
Megan, you're a Saint Germain spritz person.
Am I?
So. I've seen you drink them.
I'm a vodka person.
Well, Grey Goose.
If I have to go harder, then I go with vodka.
Okay.
Yeah.
See, we're the same.
Yeah.
So
serious question.
Yes.
Is do you consider cereal a soup?
Cereal a soup?
Mm-hmm.
No.
That's a hard stance, and that's the right answer.
Hard stance. Put
hard
it down,
stance.
write it down.
Right answer.
Thank you, tally. Thank you. That's all I had.
Yeah.
That's all my English.
So what we didn't tell you is we're actually going to send you to Chinatown after this, just to see how many people recognize you as you walk through Chinatown in Los Angeles. No, so we end every episode of Kill the Bottle with the only thing we don't get back in life is time, and we want to acknowledge you sincerely for spending some of your precious time with Megan and I and the audience here at Kill the Bottle. Please check out Chateau La Mascaronne. Said it right.
You said perfect.
Voilà, c'est bon. And if you want to check them out on social media, they are on Instagram. Also, Tony is _Tony Parker. Is it 09 or Tony?
09,
yeah. _Tony Parker 09 on Instagram. So follow Tony. Tony, sincerely, we had a great time. And like you said, that if you take one thing home from this, when you listen, dream big. Dream big, dream big, and we're here because we dream big, and we want to acknowledge you. So thank you here, Tony.
Thank you.
Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Cheers. See you next week, guys.